Namaste, everyone. Welcome to the Pranic Healing Podcast. Today, our guest speaker is Nicole Fouche. And just a little bit about Nicole. She was born and trained in South Africa. She is a qualified physical therapist with an honors degree in physical therapy and a bachelor's of science degree in physiology and genetics. Understanding the human body has always been a lifelong pursuit. Nicole has been helping people all around the world for more than 25 years. A life dedicated to helping her community is evident in her work. She has worked and trained extensively in London, Europe, Australia, and the USA. Nicole has been working in the USA for over 10 years. She is the owner and founder of Pranic Healing Tampa and has a beautifully appointed center in the heart of Westchase. She's a certified pranic healer, instructor of level 1, level 2, level 3 pranic healing. Sharing, teaching, and nurturing students is a passion of hers. She's a certified pranic psychotherapist. Her special interests include treatment of anxiety in adults and teens, complex conditions such as cancer, radiation, chemotherapy, and relationship healing. Please welcome Nicole Fouche. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Nicole, for being here as well. I know your time is very precious, and it's just very exciting to have you because when I started this podcast, actually, I thought of you and a couple of others on my top 5 people to have on, so I'm grateful for your presence. So thank you, Nicole. And today's topic is really about spiritual practice. I think in pranic healing, we focus a lot on healing, the healing practice itself. And, an extension of pranic healing is a spiritual extension is called Arhatic Yoga. And I feel like your life, your experiences, your teachings, your work is a complete embodiment of Arhatic Yoga. So for our audience, Nicole, can you just please share a little bit? I know I gave you a short bio, but it's not as personalized as if you would explain it, but a little bit more about yourself and how your life is really like a spiritual practice in play.
Absolutely. Thank you. So there's always time when it comes to sharing pranic healing because it's one of my most favorite things to do. So when I started, it was about 15 years ago. And my original introduction into pranic healing was to really become a better healer. Working with people, helping them overcome their ailments was really what I thought at that time a life purpose. My life purpose has since evolved and grown, but helping people has been a life purpose for me. So I started pranic healing with the intention of how can I help my clients get better? And it was interesting because at that time, I was very much more sort of Western medical trained and had a limited tool set of how to help people. Specifically, one of the areas I specialized in was clients with neck and back pain. And I started seeing a trend of people coming in with neck and back pain that weren't responding to the traditional tools that I had. And I started noticing these were the people that were coming in with high stress, with anxiety, with financial issues, with relationship issues. And medical school gave me no tools to deal with that. Like, how do you fix someone's finances? How do you help them with their relationships? How do you remove the anxiety? So that was my initial step into pranic healing. And for those of us that know pranic healing now, we just had all the tools to start dealing with this aspect of healing our clients comprehensively, body, mind, and spirit. And the one thing I loved about pranic healing was there's 2 wings of pranic healing. We've got a healing wing for those of you that are like me that want to be better healers. And as I followed that path to completion, as I was working through the workshops, I started noticing, and it's part of the pranic healing training, if you want to become a better healer, you need to have a really solid and good spiritual practice. So although my initial goal was to be a better healer, once I became a better healer, I realized to be an even better healer, I need a spiritual practice to follow. And the thing that really stuck out for me with the whole system of pranic healing is just how simple and well laid out it is. So on the healing side, our teacher had such great wisdom to keep the teaching simple and applicable to everybody. Literally anybody can learn pranic healing. And he gives us a step-by-step approach on how to address healing ourselves and healing our clients. The same is true of the spiritual path. When people say, I want to become spiritual, what does that mean? Do you listen to mantras? Do you do yoga? Do you do meditation? Right. I mean, there's thousands of things you could do. And again, the simplicity of the teaching from Master Choa Koksui, he basically gave us the roadmap to spirituality and a step-by-step approach on how to become more spiritual, how to lead a soul-driven life. And that for me was like the perfect sort of completion of the circle with becoming a good healer and having a spiritual path. And that's literally integrated into every aspect of my life. And if I could take a moment just to kind of share what Arhatic Yoga is, because I had no clue what that was before I got into pranic healing. Mm-hmm. So Arhatic Yoga, if we look at the word Arhat basically means the worthy one, and yoga means union. And what are we looking for union for? Union essentially with the incarnated soul, with the higher soul, and ultimately with the divine. So when we look at the system of Arhatic Yoga, essentially this system was developed to help the evolution of our soul. And the Arhatic Yoga is actually a synthesis of different kinds of yoga. So our teacher took all the different forms of yoga and took the divine essence in each of them and put them together in a system that we now know as Arhatic Yoga. So if we look at Bhakti Yoga as an example, we can achieve union with the higher soul and ultimately to God through the practice of love and devotion. So that for me as a start was incredible, because for the general public and new students to pranic healing, we are shown this through the meditation on twin hearts, which is one of our foundation meditations in pranic healing, and we use it a lot in Arhatic Yoga as well. And the whole system of the meditation on twin hearts is to actually open the heart chakra, open the crown chakra, and when these two different energy centers are open, there's a massive downpouring of spiritual energy. And through this meditation, we bless our planet, we bless humanity, we recite the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi, which is a universally accepted prayer. And through this outpouring of love for humanity, for our earth, it generates a lot of good karma for us. It blesses us as individuals. So just through that one mechanism, we are literally expanding and opening the heart center, which makes us better people. We're more loving, we're more kind, we're more compassionate. Mm-hmm. We then introduce Karma Yoga, which is the yoga of service. And one thing I can say is I've always been a very giving person, but I didn't realize how important service is on the spiritual path, because as you're receiving this divine energy, you need a vessel to, share it from your system. And essentially we do this through service. So just going on another tangent on how this has impacted my life, one of the things that has been very dear to me is teaching my children compassion, love, and service. So my two boys and my nephews actually run a non-profit. And from a very young age, they've been taught to give, to help the community, to do random acts of kindness, to do service. So for me, it was my spiritual path, but this is how it's overflowing into the family. One of the other kind of yogas that we look at is the Nana Yoga, which is the yoga of knowledge, the yoga of understanding. So really studying the spiritual texts and really integrating a lot of the higher teachings on a mental level. Very, very important as well. And these are things that I share with my family. So it becomes like second nature to talk about these things at the dinner table. And one of the other yogas is the Raja Yoga, which is the yoga of meditation. So as mentioned before, the meditation on Twin Hearts is one of our foundation meditations in Pranic Healing. And then when you step into the world of Arhatic Yoga, we're given very specific meditations to achieve different things. We're taught different breath work. We're taught specific exercises. There's certain character building traits that we work on. So as an example, one of the practices we do in Arhatic Yoga is the practice of inner reflection. What does this mean? It means we literally, as an example, assess your day. What were the good things that you did? What were the not so good things that you did? Where can I improve? How could I do better tomorrow? So it gives us a lot of self-development tools into learning what are good behaviors, what triggers me, how can I be a better human tomorrow? And it really gives us an objective way of assessing our progress and where we are, and how we can evolve spiritually. And when you look at spirituality, it's not just doing meditations and mantras, it's actually a way of life. And that, I think, is the key thing. When I think of pranic healing and I identify as a pranic healer, it's actually who I am, and there's a flavor of it in every aspect of my life. So I'm sorry, that was a bit of a long-winded answer.
No, thank you, Nicole. it was a great answer, and I was trying to keep track of everything that you were saying. So just kind of recap, I loved how you started with pranic healing as the opening path, the avenue for many of us to become part of Arhatic Yoga, right? I think for my situation was very similar, and I think a lot of people can confirm too. We all came into pranic healing thinking we wanted to help more people, to, heal better. But along the path, through the courses, it's like, oh, there's Arhatic Yoga, and Arhatic Yoga almost becomes like a way of life because it is a spiritual practice that we do every day. And I loved how you mentioned about the things with your family, especially the overflowing, the outpouring of love and these teachings to your kids, because it does become a way of life. And every person in your relationship, in your environment, they do get positively affected by them. And going back to the spiritual practice, I loved how you also mentioned about Twin Hearts meditation and how that was also a seed in pranic healing. You don't have to be an Arhatic yogi to practice Twin Hearts, but as you mentioned, when you activate the heart in the crown center, it activates, the energy is already outpouring, so you can really use it to improve many areas of your life. So thank you for that really well-detailed summary of where you started and how it's applied to many areas of your life. And then speaking more about Arhatic Yoga, Nicole, I know you run a center, you do the meditations, the practices, the breathing exercises. For someone that, hasn't taken Arhatic Yoga yet, or say haven't even taken pranic healing yet, what can they expect? What can they, expect coming in? Because it sounds like a very, from the outside looking in, it sounds like a really secret practice. You have to take the course in order to know it. But what is it really like? Because I get a lot of questions from a lot of people about that.
That's such a beautiful question. And I've got like so many answers that I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to share all of this. So one thing I can say is when you step into the world of pranic healing, you literally step into a global family of love. I know, coming from South Africa, moving to the USA, it was a big move. I didn't know anybody except my realtor. And when I got into the pranic healing community, it was like this whole global friendship circle with people with the most beautiful hearts, generosity, compassion, love, just really an awesome, awesome, awesome community. So when I look at our community here in Tampa and having a dedicated center to spreading these teachings, when people come in, I mean, it's so lovely to see when somebody comes in for the first time, because they smile and they exhale and they're like, oh my gosh, it feels so beautiful in here. And then they meet our community and they're like, oh my gosh, these are really nice people. And they're all like normal people. We're not weirdos. And we've all got such diverse backgrounds, such different faiths, such different philosophies, different professions. We've had people from all different walks of life. And that's the one thing that I absolutely treasure about pranic healing, is that as a system, it is completely inclusive. And when you look at how many things divide us in the world, pranic healing is the one thing that brings everybody together, regardless of faith, of background, of profession, you name it. Pranic healing agrees with everybody. And to have a room with such diversity and such harmony, that is a treasure in this day and age to be able to have. And when people come in, we always share the meditation on Twin Hearts, because just the meditation on Twin Hearts has been so life-changing and so miraculous for so many people that literally it's the foundation of what we share in pranic healing. My goal as a pranic healing instructor is to encourage people to take the classes. So although my primary focus is on the healing, I love healing people. I love working with them one-on-one. Like, that is a passion of mine. But when they come in for healing and we've done a number of sessions and they're starting to feel better, usually at that time I say to them, consider taking the level 1 class. Because in that class, you are given the tools to heal yourself, to heal your friends, to heal your loved ones, to really work on the evolution of your soul. But for people that are on the healing journey, there's nothing more empowering than being able to heal yourself on a Sunday afternoon at 4:00 when, you know, all the other businesses are shut and you're having some pain, and you've got the tools to be able to heal yourself. And I absolutely love that component of really empowering people to take their health and wellness into their own hands, essentially. From there, usually people are so taken by the level 1 class, like they're like, what's next? Like, what is the next step? So we work them through advanced and psychotherapy. And once you've done those foundation workshops, you're literally covered to be able to work with many different physical, mental, and emotional illnesses. So it's a very comprehensive system. And that is the most perfect foundation for Arhatic Yoga. Because when you're healthy, when you're mentally and emotionally at peace, when you understand your purpose in life, that is the perfect platform to step into the world of spirituality, to really start looking at what is my purpose in this lifetime. How can I achieve my full potential? What is my sole purpose? A lot of people don't know that. They've got the house, the family, the dogs, the job, everything. And there's a lot of people that will say, I feel like something's missing. This could be the missing piece in your life that gives value into so many different areas.
Beautiful. Thank you for taking us through the entire gamut of pranic healing as a foundation for Arhatic Yoga, Nicole. Because, like you said, I think when you get to Arhatic Yoga, everything that you've learned from pranic healing is not only for yourself, but a tool for service for others, which is part of that spiritual practice that we were talking about. And it's so great that you described it that way, because really people, like you mentioned, they're trying to find their purpose, whether it's in healing or whether that's in life and spirituality. And I love how pranic healing and how Master Choa designed it, literally step by step, getting people closer to the door of spirituality, because I find that it is an energy work that the bridge, the science to spirituality is created. So very amazing. Thank you so much.
I agree with you on that completely. And that's the one thing that I like is you don't need any special gifts or any background to resonate with pranic healing. You literally need the willingness and two hands to learn pranic healing. And it's literally, as you said, that step-by-step process. And I've had people that have come in very intuitive and very aware and, dive straight into pranic healing. And I've had others that literally had no spiritual background, no previous training, and they jump in and they're like, oh my gosh, there's a whole world out there I didn't know about. And it's really accessible to so many people. And I'll share one more thing. The goal of our teacher of pranic healing, Master Choa Koksui, was to have one pranic healer per family. Very simple goal.
Yes.
And when you unpack the power of that statement, one pranic healer per family, one pranic healer doing meditation on twin hearts, sharing love, sharing compassion, doing service, living your soul path, being a better human. If there was one in every family, that is when we would have world peace. We would have a healthy planet. We would have a healthy society. Everything would just be really, really, really fantastic. And as a goal and as a life mission, what a perfect goal to have.
Yes, and it's so funny because I was just looking at your Facebook page just before, and I think I saw you posted it just takes a few people to initiate change, and it's quite a synchronicity because it's true. You don't need everyone in the world to change. You just need those few people to start that cycle, and everyone around them starts noticing, and they start changing, which is
absolutely.
amazing.
And when you look at like a lot of the spiritual masters, super intelligent, kind-hearted, very, very powerful people that bring about massive change in the world. And that really, I believe, is the system of Arhatic Yoga to evolve us as souls to become greater human beings, filled with love, filled with compassion, and filled with the will to do good. People that don't just want to do good, but actually go out and do it and actively make a change in their community and in their society. That, I believe, is really the core of what Arhatic Yoga is.
Yes, and that's I think there's a great quote, hands that serve are holier than mouths that pray. So
Exactly. I was
what
thinking
you
of that
mentioned.
quote earlier and I couldn't remember
Really?
the exact words. And I was like, you got
Yes,
it, you know.
that's I think that's what Master Ko says sometimes on his videos. Speaking of hands that serve, I know, Nicole, you've built a tremendous community in your Tampa Pranic Healing Center, and I know that you've given back to the community very much so. What is your vision? What is your vision for your Tampa Pranic Healing Center and for pranic healing in general in your area?
Well, that's a lot. So ultimately, one of the things I really personally wanted when I got to Tampa was a spiritually minded community that I could grow with. And when I got to Tampa, there was not anybody doing pranic healing. And I remembered speaking with Master Glenn saying, I want to be involved with the pranic healing community. What do I do? And his answer was so simple. He said, build the community that you want. And literally student by student, client by client, we suddenly started this little seedling that has now just blossomed. And we truly have the most incredible community. And when I look at my life purpose, I really, really feel nurturing and growing that community and sharing the teachings of pranic healing. That is something absolutely that I believe in full faith was my divine path that I needed to follow. And when I just look at how that community has grown and served, as an example, even just through COVID, these teams of people that are trained in healing formed healing pods to help people struggling with COVID. And that was such a pivotal point in history, but even for us, where we had this army of healers that
Right.
literally stepped in and were able to heal random strangers across the world.
Every day.
That for me was just the most divine inspiration that we had. So ultimately, just to continue what I'm doing and expanding and growing. And as I said, with the service projects that we do, really supporting our local community, with the nonprofit that we have, every single month we're supporting a different project, whether it's for the homeless, whether it's for children that have been abandoned or abused, whether it's people that have been affected by natural disasters. Every month there's a different goal, a different project. And I believe it's just giving an avenue for all of us to just spread goodwill and just be good, decent human beings.
Beautiful. And I think that is the essence of any spiritual practice at the end of the day. That's the goal, to bring about permanent change. And I loved how you had such humble beginnings in Tampa and literally built the center, brick by brick almost, with, each student and
Literally.
reaching out. Yeah, literally, I'm sure. So I just commend your work and your effort, because Nicole is really one of those people that embodies the teachings and practice of Arhatic Yoga within and without, literally in your life, in your work, in your family. It's just been incredible. So thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.
And just in closing, if someone new were to come into pranic healing and you just had like 1 minute to tell them, to give them advice on, how to improve the rest of their life, what type of advice would you give this random person?
So the one thing I always share in my level 1 class, and I invite you to share it as well, is when my students take the level 1 class, I say to them, I want you to mark your 1-year anniversary of when you started pranic healing. And I want you to call me after 1 year on your 1-year birthday of pranic healing and share the magic that's happened in your life. And randomly through the year, I will get these calls of people saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe I've been in pranic healing 1 year and my relationships improved and I've got a better job and I got married and I had children and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And that is the one thing that I want to share, is people's lives change. You follow the simple teachings, you follow this incredible practice that is so safe and so well laid out that it is a formula for success. And that 1-year anniversary, every single time I have students calling me, it puts me in such a good mood for the day, because as I said, I got people from, all over, and they just share their top 5 highlights with me. And that just fills me with so much joy, and it inspires me even more just to share the teachings, because what better way can you spend your life teaching the system to people and literally seeing their lives improve and unfold in the most incredible ways. I mean, best job in the world.
Wow. That's incredible. That's such a creative yet brilliant way to put it, Nicole. I think that even for myself, looking back, I should have done that. I should have checked when I started pranic healing 1 year later, because sometimes we just get used to the change. It's like, oh, my life is better. Okay, move on. But when you put it on a date, exactly 1 year after, I think a lot of people, going back to gratitude, especially everyone remembers their basic pranic healing instructor, as we say. It just really, again, encapsulates the growth, the transformation that's happened in that 1 year. So if you don't mind, I will start taking note, and I will start applying that to all future students as well. Well, thank you so much, Nicole. It's been a pleasure to speak with you today. I thank you so much for your presence. I think so many people, me included, are so inspired by your practice, your spiritual practice within and without, because it's evident in your work, in your career, in your center, in your family. It really shows how much hard work that you put in, but also the success that comes from it. So I'm just very grateful to know you as a mentor and instructor. So thank you, Nicole. And just to help our audience find you, Nicole, where can our podcast listeners find your center or your website or your information, social media, things like that?
Thank you. So pranichealingtampa.com is the best place. Just pranichealingtampa.com. All my information's there. It's a great website, lots of information. I've got lots of blogs and articles and upcoming events, both in person and virtual. So I invite you to come and have a look.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nicole.
Thank you.
Well,
I had so much fun.
yes. And I know you have a podcast too, so I will definitely be on there too. So I'm going to say, everyone, thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode, and we hope to see you on the next one.